ただきましてありがとうございます。本日なんですけれども、スタディグループさんの、ウィリアムさんとジョイスさんからお話をいただきたいと思いますので、よろしくお願いいたします。もしご質問などございましたら、せっかくの機会ですので、チャットですとか、最後の時間ですとかで、いただければと思いますので、よろしくお願いいたします。Okay, so please start the presentation, William.
Oh, great. All right. So good to see you guys. So now today we're going to talk about the four different ways to earn your degrees in the US. And then afterwards, we're going to introduce our a very, I would say valued university in the US, University of Wisconsin Stout. So I am going to start with first talking about the four different ways of getting into a U.S. university. So here are the four different ways. You have the direct admission, university pathway, and then the third is ESL program or through community college transfer. That's the last one, number four, which I will be talking about. So let's talk about direct admission. So direct admission is really for students who already have who are meet all the requirement, not just English but GPA and has a really strong English foundation. Because even if you pass IELTS, pass Duolingo with good scores, an actual academic situation is very different, especially when it comes to the speaking part. When you do presentation is very different. So the advantage of direct admission would be it's the fastest, and you don't need to transfer your credits from community college or from a different college to a four-year university. So everything is planned out pretty much on a four-year schedule. So that's the advantage, and one of it, and also the one of the greatest advantages for direct admission is that you are working or studying directly with US students and you get to live on campus as well. But the disadvantage, which is that it's very expensive because nowadays the US education, higher education colleges, universities are very expensive. Direct admission, just tuition by itself is at least $20,000. So if you add everything up, it's going to be at least $30,000 and the entry requirement is really high. You gotta have really good English, and at the same time, if you're an international student, you don't have any time to buffer time to really get used to the living in the U.S. and then the language, the culture. So that's why I put on the PowerPoint. There's no transitional period. So that's why you have to be really good at not just studying, but at the English language. So if you don't, it's going to be very difficult. And at the same time, if you do direct admission, very little language support. So the English class you're going to be in, it's just going to be directly with all the U.S. students. You're writing 101, 201. I mean, 101, 102. There's no like grammar classes. It's basically writing papers all day long. You have a lot of papers that you have to write. And at the same time, it's very high academic pressure from the start because U.S. university, they are typically easier to get in compared to universities in Asia, but they're very hard to get out with good scores, good GPA. Very difficult. So that's direct admission. And next, university pathway. This is the second option. And this is for students or good students has good enough GPAs, but the English they just need additional English preparation. English IELTS is not there because usually IELTS the average IELTS score would be around like between 6 to 6.5. And then for TOEFL, usually it's around 80. So this program, the pathway program is for students who already has the GPA, like at least a 3.0, but IELTS score and or TOEFL score are a little lower, like students who are between like 4.5 to 5.5. And I think these pathway programs are built for students uh, who are in that category, who academically they have no problem. They just need just need a little boost on the English part. So this is a great program for that. And on top of that, they have really strong academic and personal support services for students who are struggling with English. So in addition to your English classes, they have after class programs where you go to if you still have trouble with your English classes. And this is a great way to transit into the U.S. education, not just the U.S. education, but a segue into living in the U.S. I think this is great because pathway, this the difference between pathway and ESL classes or ESL programs is that you're taking regular classes on top of your English pathway classes. So you're getting credits you're getting university credits um, on top of learning English at a really high level. So this is the pathway program is typically the best way to get into the U.S. The disadvantage for it is the tuition cost, not just tuition cost, because you're gonna spend longer time in the U.S. So on top of tuition, you're going to spend more money on accommodation, on food. So additional total cost is going to be higher, and usually it's going to be at least you're going to spend at least 6 months more time in the US. So that the cost, it all adds up. And then the downside with some of the pathway programs is that they are limited with different majors. So for example, certain universities, certain pathway programs so pathway program providers, when they sign on with a university, usually they don't like for usually university have like over 100 different degrees, but when you go through a pathway program, there might be only 50 that are available. So that's one of the downside. And then also limit scholarships. They're not available to, I mean, some of them are, but I would say about 40% of the scholarships are not available for pathway student providers. And at the same time, and that's one of the advantage of going direct is you have pretty much no limit on which scholarship that you can apply for. And then pathway programs are tied to specific universities, unlike your community colleges, where you go there, just need to get to a certain GPA and transfer to any university that you want, to any majors. So those are the two downsides, these are the four downsides of the university pathway programs. And the third one is the ESL English academic program. So typically these type of programs, they will have lower GPA requirements. Um, but and at the same time, when you take these classes, you are taking just English classes. You're not taking any university classes. So let me give you an example. One of our universities is University of Wisconsin Stout. They do have an ESL program. But when you go through this program, you have to do their just the English part first before you can start studying uh, alongside with American students. That's very different from Europe. The pathway programs, you study in English in addition to your regular classes. So ESL classes, their English. entry requirement is very low, to the point where sometimes you do not need to submit English scores. And how does this work is that when you don't have a score, an official score, you go to, when you get on site to a university, you take an official exam, and they will place you into one of the levels. So usually they have between 1 to 5 or 1 to 6 different levels depending on the university's ESL program. So it's if you don't have like a score, you can just go there, take the test. They'll put you in, and you just have to go through every level, and you have to pass the exam. And the downside for that is, in order to progress, you have to pass those levels. And at the end, you do have to take a final exam, level 5 or level 6. At the end, you have to take an exam, final exam. You got to pass that in order to progress, to get into the major that you want. So that's the downside. You have to study really hard for the English part, and you have to pass the exams. And these ESL classes, they are located, I would say 95% of the time directly on university campuses in the US. For UK, it might be different, but for the US, they're pretty much almost, if it's run by university, it's always on a US campus. And one of the advantage for the ESL programs is that you get to have extra time to get used to the U.S. way of studying the culture, because in the U.S., most classes nowadays, they are project based. So you're doing a lot of projects, a lot of presentations, which is very different from a lot of the universities in Asia. So another thing that you learn from these classes is that you learn how to present on top of your English skills. And when you take an English like an ELA or ELP class through a university, you do get to live on campus. That's one of the advantages of the ESL classes and pathway classes or programs, is that you get to live on campuses. So you get to make American friends. So that's another plus. And the disadvantage with these is that, like I said, you're not earning any university credits when you are taking these ESL classes, and you do have to pay additional costs, not just tuition, overall cost. Same thing with the pathway. You're looking at, if you're in an ESL program, you're looking at, I would say, at least an extra year, 9 months to a year before you can start taking your actual university classes. And again, progression to a degree is not always guaranteed. You need to pass the ESL English exams. So that's the third option. And the final option is the 2-year community college to a 4-year university transfer. So I think this is a very popular pathway in Japan right now because of the lower tuition costs. And classrooms are small. And then this is a really good place for you to improve your GPA before you transfer. So, for example, if you let's say you have a very low GPA in Japan, and you want to get into a high-ranking university, how do you do that? Well, 2-year university community college is probably the easiest way to do that. You go there, you do improve your GPA, pretty much start fresh. So you can build up your GPA and then transfer into a high-ranking university. Um, the problem with this pathway, with this option, is that community colleges are usually a lot easier. This is based on my own experience because I went to UC Irvine studying computer engineering. And then I didn't like it after 3.5 years. So I transferred to Cal State, California State University, Fullerton, and changed my major from computer engineering to business. And that was a huge change. And in order for me to do that, to make that transition, Cal State Fullerton asked me to take extra business classes in addition to, because I didn't have any prerequisites. All I had with all the classes that I had were all just math classes, engineering classes, chemistry, and all that stuff. So I had to go to Rio Hondo College in Whittier to so I had to take those classes to meet the prereqs in order to do the transfer. So when I transferred to Rio Hondo from UC Irvine, it was a huge difference, way too easy. So for international students, these community college classes, they are easy, easy, or they're not as easy as for American students. But when you once you make that transition into a 4 year university on your third year, you're going to see a huge difference. It's going to take you at least 6 months to get used to the difficulty because 4 year university the materials that they use very difficult. And then, so once I did that, I did my classes at Rio Hondo Community College, transferred to Cal State Fullerton. So Cal State Fullerton was easier, like I would say 50% easier than UC Irvine, but still, it is a lot more difficult than Rio Hondo College. Because like one of the classes that I took was accounting manager, accounting. It was just way too easy. So when I did something similar at Cal State Fullerton, not nearly as easy. So when you do this option, you have to expect after that transfer, it's going to be very, very difficult into a especially a high ranking university, any of the UC uh, universities in California, University of California, they are going to be very, very difficult because everything is graded on a curve. So one of the classes that I took was EC 132 for computer engineering. My midterm was 18 out of 100, and I was a B plus, and that was crazy. And you don't see that often. So when you do that type of transfer from a 2 year to a 4 year, you have to expect the the difference, the difference in difficulty. Yes, you're saving a lot of money, but at the same time, once you get into that, a lot of international students have a hard time to transit into a 4 year university. And on top of that, some credits might not get transferred to your 4 year university. So you really have to plan out your entire studying. So not in addition to the difficulty, you have to plan everything meticulously in order for all the credits to transfer. So those are the four different ways of getting a degree in the US. And now, right before we start, bef so before you make your decision on which option, you got to find out your budget. You got to find out what your goal is. And you have to ask yourself, how much time do you want to spend in the US? Because if you do the 2 year community college to 4 year university, that last one, it's not going to be 4 years total spending in the US. You are going to spend extra time. I don't know how much more extra depending on your degree, but you are definitely not going to finish in 4 years, especially now with the class loads in the UC system. They're adding a lot of classes, extra classes. So you're studying a lot more than before. So it's definitely not 4 year. It's just impossible to finish in 4 years. So once you find out, find out your budget, your goal, your interest, um, talk to your advisor and just find out what's the best, what fits you the best, which option fits you the best. So you really have to do your research. Studying in the US, it's a lot of research, not just at the time of studying, but even before you start. As an international student, you have to do a lot of research just to figure out which type fits you the best. All right. So with all that said, I'm going to move forward into one of our universities in Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin Stout. So University of Wisconsin has 13 campuses, different campus, just like UC has 10, Wisconsin has 13, and they all have different systems. So Stout is on quarter system, and some of the other ones they are on semester system. And quarter systems, they are 10 week on a 10-week basis. So 10 week per quarter. So semester is 16 weeks per semester. Per quarter is 10 weeks. So that's the difference. And that makes a difference when you do when you try to transfer from a Wisconsin Stout to another Wisconsin university. For example, Madison ranked number 36 on U.S. News and World Report. So when you try to do that transfer going from quarter system to a semester system, some of the credits might not get transferred over, or you might have to redo some classes just because the credit system are also different depending on if it's a semester or a quarter. All right. You see the two maps. The one on the left is the map of the U.S. Then one on the right is the map of Wisconsin. And the biggest city the biggest city closest to Stout is Minneapolis. And that's where you will find an international airport because at University of Wisconsin Stout, the city that it's in, Menominee, it does not have an international airport. All right, so Minneapolis Airport, how far is it? So usually on here, it says an hour and 8 minutes, but normally it takes about an hour and 30 minutes. This is an hour and 8 minutes. That's when you drive super fast. So on average, it's an hour and 30 minutes. And the distance is 116 kilometers between from Minneapolis Airport to Wisconsin Stout. Minneapolis, if you have never been to Minnesota. Minneapolis is the biggest city in the state of Minnesota. The population is close to 430,000 people. It's a huge city. Um, if you've never been there, I think when you stop by, when you arrive, maybe not go directly to South. Maybe stay a day or two just to explore Minneapolis, just to see how you like the environment. Because honestly, this Minneapolis is very fun. I've been there myself. It's a great city. People are friendly, and it's overall I really liked it. And I've actually done the drive from Green Bay, Wisconsin to Minneapolis myself. So I did that drive because I went to visit the Packer Stadium, football. If you watch football, Packer is one of the teams in NFL, and they are in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So I went to check out their stadium, and after I did that, I drove to Minneapolis. That was a long drive, so through that drive, I did pass Menominee. Did not stop, but I did pass it. All right, let's talk about the city where University of Wisconsin Stout is in, Menominee, Wisconsin. Very small city, 16,709 people. So a lot of has everything that you need. Has the buses, public transportation, has the all the different lakes and the different stuff. So the enjoyments that you're getting out of cities like this is they're more outdoorsy. It's not going to be your experience at a big city like Los Angeles or New York City. So, life experience wise, it's going to be a lot more relaxing, and it's just a lot of outdoor type of activities, as you could see. And these are some of the places you can visit when you are in Stout. So it's not all that boring. They do have places, fun places in Menominee. So I did my research. So they do have an Asian supermarket where you can. They don't have a big, huge Asian population, but they do have an Asian supermarket where you can get your Asian food, which is great. flight from Japan to Minneapolis to Stout. It's not going to be a direct flight because Mininomi does not have an international airport. So the closest one is Minneapolis. So here you go from Tokyo to Minneapolis International Airport, do that, and then you take the shuttle bus, Groom Transportation from Minneapolis to Stout, their stop in Mininomi, and then once you get there, you take Uber. It's about a 6 minute Uber ride, $14 to $18. That's the range for the Uber ride. And the Groom shuttle bus, it's $42 for each trip. And this is what the shuttle bus looks like. Groom Transportation. And let's talk about the University of Wisconsin system. So here you can see here in their system they have 13 campuses. So Stout is one of the uh, not your biggest campuses, and it's not the smallest campus. The smallest is Superior, and the largest and the highest ranking one is Madison, University of Wisconsin-Madison's ranked number 36. So they do have a transfer guarantee program. If you study in Stout, if you start at Stout and you maintain your GPA, cumulative GPA at 3.0, there is a transfer guarantee going from Stout to Madison. Stout's ranking, they don't have any overall ranking, just like little regional rankings here and there. So if you want to do that transfer, they do have a transfer guarantee program where when you look up, it is on there. And if you have a 3.0 GPA, guarantee transfer except for the School of Engineering. So the only department that's not guaranteed is the Department of Engineering. And these are some of the pictures of the campus. These are some of the pictures of the dorms. That was for undergrad. This is undergrad, and this is graduate housing. As you can see, they're all pretty modern. Very nice. And why Wisconsin? So Wisconsin is the biggest manufacturing state in United States. $59 billion dollars every year. That's the amount that they put out every year. And then to the left, you could see your top manufacturing sectors, your food, beverage, all that stuff. That's your number one. If you have pets, if you have a pet or pets, you probably have heard of the brand Mars, Hills, Purina. Those brands, they're all manufactured from one of their manufacturing facilities in Wisconsin. And on top of that, they have other they manufacture other types of stuff too, like machinery, metal products, paper, and all these plastic printing stuff. So a lot of manufacturing related jobs uh, in Wisconsin. In addition to that, Microsoft. This is news from this year. From the one to the left, from Reuters, is September 2025. So Microsoft is building a data center in Wisconsin. They are going to spend $7 billion building data centers in Wisconsin. And Foxconn, news to the right. They're going to spend 569 million dollars into Wisconsin building manufacturing facilities. Who is Foxconn? Foxconn is the largest contractor or contractor for Apple. So Apple, they do the design of iPhones. And also there are some computer stuff, and then they send to Foxconn for manufacturing. In addition to that, the Japanese companies are also building different manufacturing facilities in Wisconsin. They're all food related. Kegomen, they're known for soy sauce. So they sell soy sauce. So manufacturing facility in Wisconsin. They make soy sauce. And Asahi, one of the best beers in Japan. They also bought Octopi brewing facility in uh, in Wisconsin, and the beers that they are producing in Wisconsin, they're selling them to Canada and to Europe. Okay, and as you can see, there are a lot of Japanese Americans in Wisconsin. I mean, not huge, but compared to some other states, they do have a lot. So over 2,500 Japanese American citizens in Wisconsin. And these are some of the companies that gave out OPTs to our students at Stout in the past. All these companies, and they do have on-campus employment, which you can start right away. And the hourly wage is $11 at in the state of Wisconsin, and the average academic year income for students who work on campus jobs is on average $6,000. And Wisconsin South, it is a very job focused school. They use the word poly, polytechnic. So that word just means it's very vocational focused. It's not just a bunch of theory you learn in class. You actually go out and practice. And that is one of the reasons they have a lot of labs, 3 times more labs than classrooms. You do a lot of practice on what you study. So this is one of the to me, I think personally, this is great because UC Irvine, all the UCs, the UC universities in the UC system, they're all theory based. You don't get to do a lot of practice on these on the in different labs. So that's why this university, for now, it's very valuable. Return on investment is really high for universities like this. And so, if you want to compare to this university to a university in California, it would be your Cal State universities, for example, Cal Poly in Pomona, California. So, it's a very similar type of teaching style. Is you learn stuff in class, but at the same time, you do a lot of practice on what you learn. All right, let's talk about the academic stuff. So, Stout, it's a safe campus. Menominee itself, not a huge city, small city, so that's what makes it safe. And this international student population, about 5%. And you can see the total student population. Students. It's 69, 14. Um, compared to so this is a great place to really make friends with American students. You learn the culture, you learn the language. So when it's a small city and small school, you get to build relationships in environments like this. Like this. As you can see, doesn't have a really high overall ranking, but still the regional rankings are pretty good. And the popular majors at this university, I highlighted them. This university, Stout, they offer very practical degrees. For example, construction management. The reason why this is huge now is because companies in the U.S. they're building data centers all over the US. So a lot of constructions are going on. So if you know how to manage construction projects, you're going to do great in the US. And not just the US, even if you decide to come back to Japan, because Japan, they're building different they have different building projects, urban projects, um, and construction projects every year. So it doesn't matter where you go as long as you know the construction industry and how to manage it, you're gonna be fine. And then food science and technology. This is another degree, especially if you want to get some experience in Wisconsin, because they do have a lot of food science technology type of name. Because this is related to food manufacturing. So that's why this is a great degree to get if you want to get some experience. Your OPT, CPT. Uh, this is a great place. And then golf enterprise management. That's where you learn how to manage golf courses. And I think golf is huge, not just in the US, it's huge in Japan. And if you know how the intricacy of how to manage not just your golf course, but how to um, do marketing and get new members for different golf courses, you're gonna be doing great in life, right? And then so in addition to that, manufacturing, engineering, packaging, and plastic engineering, these three, they're all very manufacturing concentrated. So very focused on manufacturing related jobs. And then one of the degrees that I mentioned, I put it in red, is risk control and safety management. This is a master's program. The reason I highlight it in red is because it's only 10 months. What do you do here? This has nothing to do with cybersecurity. This is physical, like physical inspections, making sure the facilities are safe, and if they are not safe, you got to write reports on and improve the safety of your manufacturing facility. All right. That said, this is what I said earlier. Get polytechnic, vocational based, very focused on your future jobs. So BS in packaging, like I said, you this degree this is a very practical degree. This is packaging for all consumer products and some most commercial products as well. And then I do have students ask me or agents ask me in the past, do you learn how to package semiconductors when you get this degree? You don't, because semiconductor packaging is very different. But we're talking about packaging wafers. That's too niched. And when you package those items, if you go online, if you type in semiconductor wafer packaging, you're gonna see the packaging style. It's a lot of they use a lot of wood, and it's not your typical consumer or commercial products type of packaging. So you learn how to do that once you get into that industry, into the semiconductor industry, because it's just too niche. So that you don't learn that with this degree. You just learn the your consumer and normal consumer retail, and then your commercial. Plastic engineering, it's another one. You learn how to make plastics more sturdy, strong, and light, and how to fit them with different type of products. So this is huge because, for example, computers. The computers nowadays, your laptops, a lot of it is the outside is nowadays a lot of plastic, very different from back in the days. They're all iron or steel. Because I had a computer, I had a HP ZBook. I bought it back in 2019 or 2018. It was all steel. So nowadays, you do pretty much all most computers are plastic based, have plastic based covers. So you learn how to make them lighter. And then on top of that, you learn how to fit your devices, your IC boards uh, into your these plastic cases. Next, this is a this is not just masters. This also applies to bachelors. Food science and technology. You learn the entire food manufacturing process, how to make them more efficient, and how to you learn how to develop different types of new like organic replaceable products, right? And then for this degree, they do boast that the employment within 6 months after graduation is 100%. So this is a great degree to get at Wisconsin Stout. And then manufacturing engineering. You learn this pretty much go anywhere. You can pretty much go anywhere, not just staying in the US, not just Japan. You can go anywhere in the world because manufacturing is going, it, it's not just going to be in China, in Vietnam, Cambodia. It's going to be everywhere in the world because of what's happening now. The supply chain management, they got broken, right? So countries are starting to realize, you know what, they have to manufacture their own stuff. They can't just rely on one or two country, India or China, to do manufacturing. So they have to start build up their own manufacturing capabilities. So that's why this is a great degree to get. And Stout, they boasted. So the employment rate within 6 months is 100%. And one thing I do want to mention is that um, uh, the annual salary, they might not be as high as all these high tech related degrees, but at the same time, they are more stable. Like high tech, if you watch the news, if you go on Google, just type in how many computer programmers or computer related type of employment got laid off this year. Over 300,000 alone. That's just the US. So that's why I tell students, yeah, the annual salary might not be as high, but as far as job safety, it is going to be higher than your high tech industries. And next, operations and supply management. Basically, this is just supply chain management. You learn how to make the supply chain uh, that whole process more efficient and save more money, right? And this is a pretty popular degree. It's not just now. Like you learn this, it's gonna be there forever. The industry does not die down, especially if you look at the amount of, if you look at how much stuff are getting shipped by FedEx, DHL, and UPS. You're going to see that because that's the biggest part of supply chain is logistics, getting stuff from one country to the other. And this is huge. It's not going anywhere. So that's why this is another good degree to get. So Stout has they have a lot more degrees, but through study group, they have 50, a little over 50 undergrad degrees and 9 graduate degrees. And then as far as the entry requirement, they're very, actually pretty generous. IELTS, TOEFL, they're not super high. 6.0 for IELTS, TOEFL is 70, and then Duolingo 115. And the GPA, because we do have a contract with them, so we can go as low as 2.0. SAT is optional. So that means you don't have to submit an SAT if you decide to go direct at Stout. And they do have their own ESL Institute. So like I said earlier in the beginning, some of the programs do not require you to submit an official English score, and this is one of them. Do not need to submit a score. You can just confirm that you're coming to Stout and take a placement test once you get there, and they'll place you into one of the 5 levels in their English program. Okay, so lastly, the graduate program, out TOEFL, they're a little higher, 6.5 and 79, but they are pretty, as far as GPA goes, they're pretty generous because most graduate programs are the GPA requirement is 3.0, and for them through us is 2.5. They can go down as low as 2.5. All right, now to the exciting part. Scholarships. Scholarships they for undergrad, they do have two types, and they are so the first type is automatic. It's based on your GPA, your high school GPA, and also from year 2 to 4, it's automatic. It just depends on your GPA at Stout. It's $5,000. Once you hit that 3.0, it's automatic. And they do have a 50% off non-resident tuition scholarship. You're welcome here scholarship. So this is a separate application that you had to submit, but at the same time, you spend more time, but you do get 50% off of your non-resident tuition. And on uh the one caveat to this is that they only give out two per year. You're welcome here. You're welcome here. Scholarship only two per. They select only two per year from the pool of Canada, the applications that get submitted. So this is a very limited scholarship. So for the graduate students, they only have one type, which is the merit based on your GPA. As long as you have the 3.2, you get $6,000 off. And in addition to these, they do have other scholarships you can apply separately on your own through their website. They do give you information on that. And then the estimated annual cost. Tuition, 20. So if you look without tuition, $33,000 for undergrad. And that's probably by far the lowest I've ever seen. For your So for example, this is a great program compared to a community college. Nowadays, community college, especially when you go to community colleges in California or Washington, your housing, food, all that stuff, it adds up. And when you are in California, you have to drive. You have to have a car. It's very difficult. And most community colleges do not have dormitories. So you have to live outside, which means you have to get a car. So that adds up. So food, housing here, if you live on campus, eat on campus, you're looking at 9,000, a little over 9,000 a year. But in California, let's see, if you add, because you have to buy a car, just food and living, at least 12,000 per year, and you get a car payment per month is about 300. So 300 insurance, you have to have car insurance and then gas. So here is just 9,000 if you live on campus. And in California, community college, you have to live off campus, you have to get a car, and you're looking at, I would say, between 15,000 to 16,000 per year. So those the costs in California, and like when you go to California community college, it's really expensive. Yes, tuition might be lower, like 10,000, around like 10,000, $8,000 to $10,000. But like if you add everything up at the end of the day, the pretty similar. And the advantage of going to Stout is that you're getting top-notch education. So you don't have to have that transition period where you transit from community college to a four-year university. The academic difficulty degrees are very different, so you won't have that. In addition, Stout, they do have their ESL program. So if you feel like you feel like your GPA wise you're qualified, but you need some English support, yeah, maybe go through their ESL program first and then start off. You might spend an extra 3 to 6 months, but at the same time, you're building a stronger foundation. So that's the benefit of Stout, studying at Stout. And yeah, so on the bottom, you can see that if you do work really hard and get that 3.0 GPA, your annual scholarship is your like with scholarship, your annual cost, total cost is $28,000, which is not bad at all. Very, this is by far the lowest I have ever seen for a U 4-year university. And these are the intake dates. So June 24th for all undergrad programs and graduate program. Oh, these are application deadlines, June 24th for all undergrad programs and graduate programs. It's different. Some of the like the psychology related degrees, they do end early. So if you do decide to apply, definitely apply now. And that is it. That's my presentation. Thank you guys. Do you guys have any questions? No questions? Any questions?
Sorry, I can't speak English fluently. Is there any need 課外活動ってなんていうかな。課外活動とか必要ないですか？
すみません。質問もう一回お願いします。
あ、すいません。英語があまりできなくて、子供の方が留学を考えていますが、アメリカの大学は先ほどのご紹介いただいたGPA とか英語の方の点数とか、それ以外はこの課外活動とかは必要ないでしょうか？
そうですね。Well, I mean, the question is besides like the GP and the English, particular documents or tests that we need to submit for application. For example, SAT, GSAT, etc. Or we just
Uh,
need the transcript and the English.
yeah, so we for undergraduate degrees, just your high school transcript, your English score if you do have it. If you do want to go direct without pathway or ESL, submit your English score, and then your diploma, high school diploma. And if you want to get master's, um, so if you want to get your master's or your bachelor degree, sometimes it's depending on the program, letter of recommendation, and then for STEM, all the master's programs they do not require uh, uh, GRE or GMAT, so you're good with that. And then SAT for bachelor's not required, so you're okay.
Okay,
そう、
okay,
簡
thank
単
you.
に言うと、ただ高校の成績と英語のテストの結果は十分です。すみません、私の日本語も下手ですから、できるだけ。
啊，您是不是也是说中文的，是吧？
讲中文也可以，对。
啊，他刚才说的是，就是说 depend on 那个，就是专业是吧？major 那个是
对，
吧？
原则上来
嗯
讲，大部分的都不需要其他的额外，像 SAT 或者是 GMAT，就基本上就是看最后的成绩，然后跟英文就可以了。对，然后
啊
除非说有比较特殊的科系，不然的话，原则上是不大需要的。嗯。
啊啊，谢谢。那个就是所有那个一般都是我听说是需要，这是这个学校比较特殊，不需要还是怎么回事呢？
呃，因为这些学校是跟我们 partner 的学校，所以他有给我们就是呃
一些人
一些就是can we say this is like a special thing that they do for us, William, or they just don't need it in general speaking?
It just depends on the school. SAT in general, high ranking schools, yes, but otherwise nowadays they're not required. And GRE or GMAT, it depends on the school, depends on the major. So that's just very random. There's no, yeah, for all schools you don't need GRE or you need GRE. It just depends on the school and degree.
所以就刚好我们配合的学校都不需要。对，
Thank you. Thank you very much.
no problem. But thank you for the question. Since we are a small group, any other questions? I guess so far so good. 他何か質問がありましたら、ぜひ、遠慮せずに、直接話しても大丈夫です。チャットに入れても大丈夫です。お願いします。はい。I'll take the silence as a no. Okay, so, もし何か問題があれば、ぜひ、スタディのカウンセラーに直接聞いても大丈夫です。はい、ありがとうございます。じゃあ、今日のセッションでこれで終わりにしましょうか。Let us close today's webinar and feel free to exit anytime you need.
Okay. All right. Well,
大丈夫
thank
です
you
か？他
guys.
何か問題ないですね。
Fine.
OK。はい、ありがとうご
大
ざい
丈夫です。
ました。
ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございま
ありがとうご
す。
ざいます。Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.